We actually don't know if she's been murdered or not yet. She may be alive and well.
Okay.
But she might also be dead.
Okay.
Okay? And it could be that you've done it.
Time ago, police held a press conference to appeal for sightings of the 22-year-old who has not been seen since 7:15 p.m. on Saturday night.
Have I been arrested for something I didn't do?
You haven't been arrested, mate.
Oh.
No.
Oh.
Did you kill Grace Millane? Okay. Jesse Kempson, you're under arrest for the murder of Grace Millane.
On behalf of New Zealand, I want to apologise to Grace's family. Your daughter should have been safe here, and she wasn't, and I'm sorry for that.
You have no reason to convict me. You're full of
At 21 years old, your whole life is still before you. New experiences, meeting new people, travelling. It's all there waiting to be unravelled. This is what Grace Millane thought when she finished university in 2018. After graduating, Grace decided to take a gap year before finding a job in her field. But on December 1st, only one day before her birthday, she went on a date. Her last date. After going out for drinks with Jesse Kempson, a man she'd met on Tinder, Grace wasn't seen or heard from again. After being reported missing by her friends and family, the police began retracing her steps, and thanks to the extensive CCTV footage around the area, it was soon discovered Grace had gone back to her date's apartment, but had never left. At least, not by her own means. Jesse had disposed of her body by carrying it out of the building in a suitcase he bought that same morning. This is not a case about the dangers of women travelling solo. Neither is it a case about the dangers of meeting strangers on Tinder. It's a case about a sick individual who cut a young woman's life too short, too early. That is the only real danger in this story. Born in Essex in the United Kingdom on December 2nd, 1996, Grace Millane was a sweet, happy young woman. She attended Lincoln University and graduated with a bachelor's degree in advertising and marketing. Like many other graduates, Grace decided to take a gap year before finding a job and take that time to travel the world. She was excited to see new countries, meet new people, and make the most out of this unique experience. Her backpacking adventure started in Peru, as she documented her travels on her social media profiles. After spending 6 weeks in South America, where she met many people, she continued her journey across the globe and landed in New Zealand, where she was planning on spending 2 weeks. On November 30th, 2018, she arrived in Auckland, and since she didn't know anyone in town, she decided to go on Tinder to meet someone who she could go out for some drinks with. At around 5:45 p.m. on December 1st, just hours before her 22nd birthday, Grace met 26-year-old Jesse Kempson, an Australian man who was also visiting Auckland. Right before she greeted him, she snapped a picture of the Sky City Christmas tree and sent it to her family. This would be the last message they ever received from her. What's fascinating about this case is the amount of CCTV footage there is to follow Grace and Jesse's date. Thanks to all the images, we're able to construct an incredibly detailed timeline of Grace's last hours alive. After an awkward hug and some nervous smiles, the two went into a burger bar for some dinner. They seemed to get along great and decided to get some drinks at a Mexican bar after dinner, just after 7 p.m. At around 8:30 p.m., Jesse paid for the drinks while he talked to the bartender, and the two headed out towards their next destination, a bar just a few minutes away from his apartment. It's during their time at this bar where the two start to get comfortable with each other, and at 8:50 p.m., the footage shows them kissing. The two appear flirting and kissing for the next hour or so, and nothing suggests this is anything different from a casual date. At one point, Jessie left the table for a few minutes, and Grace used that time to text one of her friends back home. "I'm on a date with a guy who's a manager for an oil company," she told her. "Cocktails all around. He was like, 'It's your birthday tomorrow, we're getting smashed.' He lives in a hotel. I click with him so well, I will let you know what happens tomorrow." After these texts, Jesse returned to the table, and the two continued to kiss and share drinks until 9:40 p.m., when they're seen exiting the bar and entering the City Life Hotel, where Jesse had rented an apartment. They walked very close together, Jesse's arm around her shoulder, and they both looked happy and relaxed. And there, exiting the elevator on the 3rd floor, just before 10 p.m., are Grace's last moments alive. Her friend never got a text about how the night went. On the morning of December 2nd, Grace's family and friends began texting her and trying to call her. It was her birthday, and everyone wanted to wish her a happy one. However, as the hours went by, Grace's silence became concerning. It wasn't like her. Ever since she started her travels, she'd kept in constant contact with her family through texts, Facebook messages, Instagram. Her family wanted to think she was just busy, or perhaps she'd traveled to an area with a poor signal and wasn't able to receive their messages. However, after 2 full days of not hearing back from her, she was reported missing. Police got to work right away and began investigating Grace's last contacts the night of December 1st, as well as checking CCTV footage to determine her steps before her trail went cold. Soon enough, they found out she'd last been seen heading towards her date's apartment. After checking the footage of all the doors in the hotel, they discovered Grace never left the building. Jesse, however, did, in multiple occasions. As soon as Grace's trail gets lost after exiting the elevator with Jesse, police focused on following his movements after that night, because there was a lot of movement. The morning of December 2nd, while Grace's family was sending her happy birthday wishes, Jesse took the elevator downstairs and went shopping to the mall opposite his hotel. It seems he was looking for something specific, a large suitcase. After taking it back to his apartment, he's seen leaving once more and making his way to another shop to buy cleaning supplies. He even rented a professional carpet cleaner, which he took up to his place in the elevator, standing casually next to another guest. A while later, he's seen exiting the apartment building once again and getting into a taxi. CCTV shows him at a car rental office, picking up the keys to a red Corolla and driving it back to the City Life apartments. And then, he went on another Tinder date. This date didn't go as well as the one with Grace had. Jesse seemed nervous. He gave out confusing and contradicting details about himself. At one point, he began talking about how the police were looking for a body in the Waitakere Ranges. Then he told his date about someone he knew who had accidentally killed a woman during rough sex. After a very awkward and uncomfortable date, Jesse invited the woman to go somewhere else, but she declined. Her instinct was telling her to step away from the situation. After parking the car, Jesse is seen bringing large suitcases down in the elevator, using a cart to move them out of his apartment and all the way down into the car park. He then loaded the suitcases into the boot of his rented Corolla. With the car boot loaded with suitcases, Jesse went to sleep and got up early the next morning for a drive. He stopped somewhere along the way to buy a shovel, and after a few hours, he's seen at a car wash, giving the car he rented just a few hours earlier a meticulous cleaning. And after a few hours, he's seen throwing other items into a bin in the street. After that, he carried on with his day. After Grace was reported missing on the 5th of December, her father flew to Auckland. Although the case was initially treated as a missing persons case, with no foul play suspected, the story quickly shifted gears. After retrieving the CCTV footage and going over it, they quickly had their eye on Jesse. The cleaning products, the professional carpet cleaner, the rental car, it all seemed to point at him trying to get rid of evidence. But where was Grace? After seeing the large suitcase he bought just hours after she disappeared, and the way he carried it out on a cart, police began suspecting the worst, that Jesse had used a suitcase to move the body. Police got in touch with Jesse, who told them he knew nothing about where Grace went after their date. He also lied several times about where he went after the date, confusingly reconstructing that night.
Yeah, that's us.
Down there?
Yep.
Is that before or after?
That is after.
Okay, and where are you guys going now?
So she's going that way, and I'm going across the street.
Where do you walk?
I go down Queen Street. No, I go down Victoria Street, straight down to the bottom, and then hang a left, and I head towards the viaduct.
You go to the viaduct a bit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
You've kind of walked in a bit of a funny direction if you were planning to go to the viaduct.
Well, it's the direction I normally go.
Yeah. Is there a particular reason you were going to do that?
I feel safer down that way. Hey, I just want to ask a question. Am I being arrested for something I didn't do?
You haven't been arrested, mate.
Oh,
No.
I was like, holy shit.
Police already had their suspicions, and this first statement only raised more eyebrows. In the meantime, CCTV was telling a very different story, as well as a much more detailed one. So the next day, police brought him in once again.
Indicated that you're willing to speak to us about the events of last Saturday. Is that correct?
Yes.
Tell me what happened last Saturday.
From the beginning?
Yeah. Did you kill Grace Millane? Okay. Jesse Kempson, you're under arrest for the murder of Grace Millane.
This time he felt cornered, and he knew that lying wasn't going to get him out of it. So finally, he admitted that he had indeed killed Grace Millane. However, as we see in many cases similar to this one, it wasn't long before Jesse brought out the victim card. In between tears, he said it wasn't his intention to kill her. It had been an accident after their sexual encounter had gotten out of hand. He claimed that Grace had asked him to choke her, but it had gone terribly wrong. It was only an accident. He told police how he disposed of the body, how he cleaned the room, and how he threw out the evidence. With this statement, they were finally able to find the body. Everything pointed towards the Waitakere Ranges, a mountain range located west of Auckland. And there, just off Scenic Drive, police found the body of 22-year-old Grace Millane inside a suitcase which had been buried in the ground. For the first 2 years of the case, Jesse Kempson's name was not shared in the New Zealand media. However, the name suppression was only legal in this country. The media from various other countries decided to publish his name as soon as he was confirmed to be Grace Millane's killer. This is why in much of the footage from this case, his face is blurred out. However, the name suppression has since been lifted, and his identity is well known. Jesse Kempson's trial began in November of 2019 after he pleaded not guilty, insisting it had all been an accident and he had not intended to kill Grace. However, the detailed recollection of his movements thanks to the CCTV footage didn't show a man who was scared after a horrible accident. The jury saw a cold man disposing of a body in an absolutely cruel way and attempting to cover his tracks afterwards. As well as the security footage, his internet search history was a huge part of the evidence used to prove this wasn't an accident at all. At 1:30 a.m. on Sunday, minutes after Grace was presumably killed and lay dead on his apartment floor, Jesse used his phone to search for hottest fire, as well as Waitakere Ranges, the place where Grace's body was found. It seemed like he was already planning how he was going to dispose of her remains. Minutes later, he went onto a porn website and watched some videos. He also searched for the car rental company he'd used the following day. But that wasn't all. Several photographs of Grace's lifeless body were found on his phone. 7 of them to be exact. These were intimate photographs in different poses and angles, meaning he had to manipulate her lifeless body to get the shot he wanted. The following morning, while he was out shopping for the suitcase and the cleaning supplies, he was texting the woman he would go on a date with that evening. All of this happened while Grace was lifeless in apartment 308. The room was analysed, and after using luminol, investigators revealed a large stain of blood in the apartment floor, right next to the bed. There were also bloody footprints next to the large stain. It had all been recently cleaned. The autopsy revealed Grace had bruising on her arms, torso and neck, suggesting she had been pinned down and asphyxiated. Other witnesses who had dated Jesse in the past testified, confirming he was into bondage and rough encounters. Additionally, it has since been discovered that Jesse had other charges for rape and sexual assault, threats, and other violent acts. The defense tried to stick to the sexual game gone wrong story, since Grace had no defensive wounds on her. However, Grace had been drinking all evening, and her autopsy showed a high amount of alcohol in her system. This kind of inebriation would have prevented her from defending herself, perhaps even losing consciousness much quicker than sober, and it's very likely that Jesse knew this. After a 3-week trial and a 5-hour deliberation, the jury found Jesse Kempson guilty of the murder of Grace Millane. He was sentenced to life in prison with no parole for at least 17 years. He's tried to appeal his sentence twice, but both appeals have been dismissed, and he is currently serving his sentence at the high-security Auckland prison. Thank you for watching this video and supporting my channel. If you found it interesting, please give it a like and subscribe so you don't miss any new content, and I will see you in the next video.